How are you anyway, Terry?
Going well, yeah, going really well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. It's a beautiful day here in Sydney.
Mm. Great, yeah, it's
So,
perfect.
yeah,
Absolute bluebird up here as well, yeah.
I can see you're a Queensland Red fan.
Yes, I am.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, that's the 2011 Premiership team jersey, so fully signed jersey. Yeah,
So, yeah, it's cool. So it's all signed.
yeah, by all of them. Yeah, by everyone on the team who won that premiership in 2011.
So, yeah, no, it's cool. Hey, before we get on to our topic today, how did compliant cleaning services start in the early learning sector?
So compliant cleaning supplies. We we were born about 13 years ago, um, predominantly servicing contract cleaners. So contract cleaners who do colleges, large buildings, large government contracts, and then all the way down to small commercial sites as well. Um, and just predominantly supplying chemicals, mops, buckets, brooms, washroom facilities as well. So hand towel, toilet paper, soaps, and from there, over time, we came into the childcare market, and we found quite a large gap in that market where all the compliance we were used to on the contract cleaner side wasn't really being done very well on the childcare side. And so, whilst we supply a product and or products into a centre, there's a lot of knowledge that really helps them um, improve outcomes for their environments and for their children, and thus the families as well, where the children go home, and if they're in a clean environment at daycare or childcare, then it's beneficial for everyone. So we found that having that knowledge of it was just second nature to us. Being able to implement that with strategies in the childcare sector was had been wanting, I guess you would say, and so from there we grew quite modestly at the start. Probably 6 years ago we started in the childcare game, and then from there we realised there was a real need for this, and then now fast forward to today, we're national, on a national basis, servicing national.
And to be honest, when anyone's talks about cleaning, go, oh, cleaning, you just go in and clean, right?
Yeah,
But but
right.
in fact, COVID's really taught us it's more than that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, cleaning and sanitizing are two very different things. You can't sanitize a dirty surface. You actually have to clean it first, and then you have to sanitize the surface afterwards. So it's a two-step process, really, and that was brought to the forefront with COVID. So I guess it didn't necessarily change that cleaning was being done. It just brought it to the forefront, as you say, and those practices have been implemented properly over the last three years, and it's seen as not just a bottom line cost anymore. That was really cleaning was seen as a bottom line cost to the business and no real benefit. Whereas now, in particular in the childcare market, a clean centre and a well sanitised centre is marked up, of course, in QA2, QA3, and QA7. They're marked up for that. So it's incredibly important these days.
And do you find, like, over those 6 years, the improvement in sanitising through better compliance, better regulations, better understanding?
Uh, in our centres, yes. um, Look, there's still a lot of work to be done in the market. Our centres that we supply to have to go through they go through rigorous testing by us for them to get up to standard. So yeah, it's definitely if they're using, say, large box movers of the world, there's very little support, very little compliance oversight, and so that's where we can step in and really help.
Wow. Well, look, when we were talking about doing the podcast and our research into it, we talked about micro and macro environments. Can you tell us about the importance for an early learning service with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we talk about the macro environment is sort of the larger scale environment as a whole, air quality and the like. But then if we drill down into a microenvironment, we can drill down into, say, a childcare centre, but then also on a room by room basis. And that's the most important thing. So drilling down into their cleaning practices in a washroom, a bathroom, and then into the individual rooms where the children are. They're putting things in their mouth all the time. They're putting toys in their mouth. They're crawling around on the floor. Um, they're sneezing on a surface and that type of thing. So really increasing the health of that microenvironment is what we're super passionate about. Yes, like I said, we sell products into here, but our services that back this up and our knowledge is essentially free for our clients to pick our brains to help implement better practices so that their microenvironments become healthier. And when that microenvironment becomes healthier, the transmission of gastros and the like and other COVID even is lessened. Now, kids will always hug each other. They'll always cough or sneeze on each other or whatever. You can't clean that up. But if the microenvironment is healthy and clean and sanitized, then the homes are going to have far less sickness and the transmission of those sicknesses are going to be far less.
And so, from that, then, when you have less contagions or microbes or whatever it is that are there from that sneezing, that coughing, that mouth play, all of those things that they do as children, the impact then would be on reduced sick days for educators, but and then on top of that, reduced time off for parents
That's right,
as well.
absolutely. I mean, it's extremely costly. It's a costly service. We know that, and so by keeping the children there, the parents are getting the benefit. Many childcare centres have to charge for that day still when the child is not there because they have wages too. We understand they're running a business. They need that revenue, and so by keeping the microenvironment healthy and being aware of the macro environment, and then also taking those microenvironment practices into the home. Parents are a lot happier as well. They're a lot, if these practices are happening at their childcare centre, they are a lot more comfortable. They are a lot more willing to work with the centre. They're not disgruntled. They're not looking for another placement somewhere else. So there's a huge flow-on effect for what the cleanliness and the sanitizing of a centre actually means for a parent, even if they don't see it as that. But if we can decrease and help decrease those days of children being away, it's just better for everyone.
And can I ask you, with your cleaning service, it's not just about here you go, here's a bottle of spray, here's a bottle of, chemical of whatever it is, and here's a cloth that you should use. What happens? What do you do? How do you make sure practices? How do you improve those environments? What's the process?
Yeah, so we have documentation on how to actually sanitize a surface correctly. So with cleaning and what type of products they're going to use for cleaning. We make sure that all of the documentation where chemicals are kept is kept up to date. So that's extremely important. The SDS sheet, so the safety data sheets, that they are up to date, current, visible, where staff know where they are. Chemical dilution systems, or the way that the chemical even gets from the 5 litre or the 15 litre into the spray bottle, is super important. We conduct chemical training with the centres and their staff at their meetings, so that they can all be taught on what the best practice is, safety, so they're not, the best way, they're not going to get chemical in their eye or in their mouth and that type of thing. How they look after that chemical as well when it's in a childcare room, so that they'll need a spray bottle in there for cleaning. That needs to be looked after correctly. That needs to be administered right. So we give a lot of help around how that looks. Now, the physical cleaning of a surface, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, cleaning's been around for a very long time. So we're not necessarily out there training them on how to clean, though I've done plenty of it in my time. It's more about those practices and holistically helping them with our products and how to improve the outcomes of that environment.
Yeah. So with that, then, can we talk about what the your five top cleaning practices that produce positive outcomes would be?
So certainly hands. When you walk into a centre, it's about hand sanitizing. So using hand sanitizer or washing your hands is extremely important when you get into a centre. Then we would look at floors is the next obvious place because a lot of toys and books, they get left on the floors. So making sure that they either have the correct vacuum cleaner or contract cleaner who comes in and does vacuuming, the correct mopping system. So using what we like microfiber systems because they actually take the nasties out of the environment rather than just moving them around in an environment. So you've got floors, then you've got surfaces, of course. So the two-step process to sanitize a surface, clean the surface first, and then sanitizing the surface and using the correct dwell times. So dwell time is how long a chemical may have to sit on a surface so that it's actually effective in killing pathogens or bugs, microbes. So then we would look at washroom. Washroom is a huge one. I mean, of course, you've got toilets and there's hand washing and that type of thing. So making sure that there's always and training to make sure there's always hand towel in a dispenser. Look, some places have hand dryers. They're not. We don't necessarily believe they're the best for an environment. They do move a lot of microbials around a washroom, and they do tend to heat up an environment as well. So they tend to work against you. It's a perfect environment. It's like a petri dish of
Yep.
for a microbe to continue to grow. So there's that with hand soap, hand towel, and then making sure the surfaces in that washroom are nice and clean. And then the fifth one would be chemical storage and the compliance around that chemical storage and how that's looked after in, say, a laundry. Often it's in a laundry or in a storage cupboard. So they're the big five that we all focus on.
And actually, as you mentioned chemicals, everyone goes, "Oh my God, chemicals!" Children, what's the impact? How safe are they? Are they good? Are they okay? My children's got allergies. There's all these things we now are very aware of when anyone says the word chemical.
Absolutely.
How do you address that? What's the?
So it's a two-part. I guess it's a two-part answer to that. There's products on the market now where you're using non-hazardous chemicals. I mean, everything's a chemical. Water is a chemical. The air we're breathing is a chemical. So you're always using chemicals, but it's about hazardous or non-hazardous chemicals, I guess you would say. And if a child was to say get hold of a spray and wipe bottle, that's going to be fairly critically. That's going to be a bad outcome. But if we were to look at, say, aqueous ozone as an example, so aqueous ozone is just ozonated water, so O3 that is then carried in the water molecule onto a surface. They use water as the vessel to get onto a surface, and the O3 actually kills far faster than bleach even. So it has a faster and higher kill rate than bleach. So at 1.5 parts per million, and not to get into a chemical discussion with you, but 1.5 parts per million, all of the good work is being done in the first 10 seconds. So the dwell time is extremely short. Some of these COVID-killing chemicals are 1 minute, 2 minutes. They have to sit on a surface before it's done its intended role. So aqueous ozone is a fantastic product for this. Now, it's worth noting that you can actually ingest aqueous ozone. Wouldn't ingest a lot of it because it kills all nasties and good bacteria as it goes. It oxidizes it very quickly. So the reason we like it is because within 2 to 5 minutes, it's then just water. So if an educator has accidentally sprayed some of this on a table and forgotten to wipe it up, because they're busy, they are flat out all day, they've forgotten. It's just water. It's just after 2 to 5 minutes, it's just water again. It can't harm anyone. You can spray it into your mouth directly from the aqueous ozone producing device, and that won't harm you. You can't say that about any almost any other chemical, right? So there's that outcome, and then there's just the proper training of how to administer chemical and harsher chemicals. I guess they're not exactly hazardous, but how to administer the proper use of chemicals. That's the second part. And so if a service would like to use standard chemical range, that's fine. We have that as well, and we just work with them on the proper practices of keeping the children safe with that in mind.
I would say we've got people listening in our audience today, Terry, that would love that product you spoke about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
it's,
Yeah, look,
it's a,
we have over 300 units out there in the market for over 2 years now. We've been using this product. Aqueous ozone is not a new product. It's been around for 150 years, and it's been used in particular in the dental industry
Yep.
for the past 40 years. So a lot of that water that goes into your mouth when you're at the dentist is aqueous ozone. It's ozonated water. So it's not new, but having a handheld device where you can actually use it on demand is the innovation that we've come across. It's owned by the patent is owned by MIT in the States. It's 50% owned by someone in the States, and then also MIT, and they
Wow.
manufacture it there. So it's a fantastic product. The outcomes are exceptional because you can just clean whenever you like. If there's children there, it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt them.
And you can obviously spray it on your toys, spray it on your
Yeah. You can use
whatever
it.
needs cleaning.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use it as an air dry sanitizer as well, because you can spray it. It does its work after you've cleaned. Spray it, does its work, and then it's just water and it dries overnight. It really is a revolutionary product. Very innovative.
That's amazing. It's what's even more amazing was talking about cleaning, right? Now,
Mm.
like I said earlier, everyone just thinks I was cleaning or
Yeah,
sanitizing.
yeah.
But what's remarkable is how far we've come, and what you're talking about
Mm.
is so important for our children in early learning
That's
settings.
right. I mean, it's certainly about getting the fundamentals right. So cleaning itself, the actual act of cleaning and sanitizing, hasn't changed for a long time. You still have to physically
Yeah,
clean a surface. It's just
yeah.
what we're using, what we're able to use these days to decrease the chance of harm to children. I mean, that's what we're passionate about, is decreasing these risks and increasing the health of a microenvironment.
Wow. Look, and just like you said, that micro and macro, the impact from that micro is it affects everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
oh, that's fantastic. And now, look, our looking forward in the sector, what do you think are the big issues for the early learning sector, or the early childhood education and care sector, over the next sort of 5 years?
Mm. Well, regarding our how we can help with that. I mean, growth is a huge thing. It's really in a growth phase. I mean, through COVID, and now there's centres popping up left, right, and centre, and with a lot of the work the government's doing to increase the support for families, we're only going to see more. So with that growth, I guess in our sector is getting those practices right, and so that management groups understand the importance of this moving forward. So I think one of the challenges is if they simply go for the cheapest price in the market, they may not get the outcome that they require for their parents and for their children.
Well, yeah, look, exactly. It's a
Mm,
it's going to be an interesting few years, that's for sure.
mm, mm,
And look, from the basis of it, cleaning is one of those things that we don't have a choice,
mm.
which is
Absolutely, it's necessary, and it will be necessary for a long time. Surfaces will have to be cleaned as long as we're all around, and so it is critical. It's crucial to the operation of any business, but in particular, the childcare
yeah,
sector, getting that right,
yeah,
because the educators are doing. There's a lot that they have to do in the sector, and cleaning is one of them. And they're not necessarily trained on how to clean correctly, and it's not through no fault of their own, or even the managers and that type of thing. It's not. There's no fault there. Everyone's trying to get by and have positive outcomes for the children in their care, and we just believe we're there to really bed in those three QA.
Well, I suppose if you think about it, I mean, in most jobs, in most people's jobs, in office and things like that, we don't go to work and clean.
That's right.
Whereas educators go to work and they not only need to clean, but they need to clean, the sanitize, and be very mindful of what they're doing. That's not, it's so different to anything else.
Yeah, it is absolutely. There's so many tasks that they have to be across. So getting the right support so that they're doing that correctly, because otherwise it can be a little bit of just, oh, this is what I think is the right thing to do. Again, it's not on them. They're just
Yeah.
doing what they think is right.
Yeah. Now, before we finish up, we ask our guests to share some wise words or a motivational quote. Do you have one you'd love to share with us?
Maybe not so much a motivational quote, but it's certainly around passion for an industry. And you find in childcare and early education the amount of passion that educators have, centre directors, centre managers, owners have is phenomenal. And it's why I know I'll be in this industry for a very long time. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about positive outcomes. So I guess it's trying to encourage or help people to provide a better outcome for children. I have two children myself, 3.5 and 5 months, so I'm right in the thick of it, and I know the importance of those outcomes for our children, and so I know that the passion is really important to me and really important to our sector moving forward.
Yeah. Oh, look, thank you so much for sharing that. And look, thank you so much for your time today. Now, what we'll do also, Terry, is get information from you to share with our audience, anything we've spoken about, any links, especially about that product you were talking about earlier. I'm sure everyone's keen to hear and learn more about that. And what we'll do is we'll share that with our audience and have that all in our links. And thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's been fun chatting to you about cleaning.
Yeah, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, Paula.
Not a problem, Terry. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Bye.